will start a bit about KumaTalks. KumaTalks is they give us the opportunity to make this talk about technology, if whether or not technology can overthrow idiocracy. KumaTalks, they organize cultural talks with people, with scientists, and we are in the same network of Mid-Ost, Cultural Managers Network, and we talked in December about making something together, and that was the opportunity to realize this event. And they provided us their infrastructure. So maybe I will very briefly introduce myself. My name is Mert Akbal. I'm doing with my two partners from Amsterdam and Istanbul, Ruth Timmermans and Talia Yavuz. We are doing the Technomania project, which is about boosting the literacy, technological literacy, and the common the common fear about using technology, and opening up the technology for everyone to use. Well, yes, you can have the more info about KumaTalks in the links, and also have the more info about Technomania here. We have today two speakers to talk about our thema. Diğdem Sezen, she's from Istanbul, and maybe we can also briefly introduce yourself, very briefly.
Right now?
Yes,
okay.
Maybe
right
yes.
now. My name is Diğdem Sezen. I'm working at Istanbul University. I hold a PhD in communications, and my scholarly interests mostly are in the field of digital media, digital games, interactive storytelling, and transmedia narratives. So I'm very happy to be here with you today. Did you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
And maybe Arie, maybe you can also introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Arie Altena. I'm based in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and I work for V2, which is an institute in Rotterdam, which is working at the field of art and technology, you could say. Next week, they actually have a festival there, the Dutch Electronic Art Festival, with the theme of the Progress Trap. I'm basically doing a lot of the website for V2. But I also have been writing on art and new media for quite a while now, probably 20 years, something like that. I've been associated with magazines like Mediamatic in the past and Metropolis M. And one of the other main things I'm doing at the moment is organizing or co-organizing actually the Sonic X Festival in Amsterdam and other places in the Netherlands, which is also a festival at the which takes place at the intersection of technology, science, music, and the arts. And I've been making books for them as well, editing books and conducting a number of interviews with contemporary artists and musicians for that. So I think that's enough for now as an introduction.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I could go on.
Maybe to start. Actually, maybe to start about to introduce about coming from the recent events. We have a very sad day in Turkey at the moment. There was a very big mining catastrophe, and maybe we can come to this topic later because it's somehow connected to it, because it's a failure of a idiocracy, which we mean it's a kind of idiots ruling everything and doing very bad mistakes. And if or not the technology could be used at least as a basis to discuss about these idiots. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll start with the presentations of. Maybe we start with Aria with his presentation. Okay. And then we can go to Diğdem's presentation, and then later we can discuss together.
Yeah.
With a conclusion then.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, just to start off, I think what I would like to do in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes is just to put in a couple of, you could say, references or things that we could discuss or talk about, or that could come back in the discussion later on. A couple of things that are relevant towards thinking about technology. The notes I've put together referred a bit also to a text that Mert Akbal like thought out. I think it was 2 weeks ago as a starting point. Which was this article in the Guardian, and a couple of things around that, which mentioned scientific, partly NASA subsidized research, which would show that we're actually very quickly approaching, well, the end of the world as we know it, you could say, which is sort of a well-known idea. But of course, every time when such things are being when there's a lot of scientific evidence to kind of give background to those ideas, it becomes well, more and more tangible, and maybe for politicians also more important to think about. But then the title of today was Can Technology Overthrow Idiocracy? Well, the answer to that is, of course, not. That sort of is the first thing I would put in. And why can it not overthrow idiocracy? Because if you read it in this way, can technology overthrow idiocracy? You would be thinking in a way that you have technology over there, there's nature and culture somewhere else, there's policy against somewhere else, and these are all kind of separate fields that on its own could, well, save the world, overthrow idiocracy, have the big solution. So it's simply the idea that, no, if you just look at technology as such, that's not going to help you. There's no technological fix for idiocracy. The fix for idiocracy, or the fix for anything, will always be a mixture of technology, culture, politics, etc. So, well, I didn't follow the news about the minor catastrophe very well. I know that it happened, but I haven't read anything about why it happened and what the problems behind it were. But I'd say it's probably not technology as such that would save it, or would have made possible that it would not have happened, because it's not just a new technology which will kind of change the world or change things as such. It is always technology mixed in with politics, mixed in with culture. Of course, on the other hand, it's also that if you talk about technology, you are actually always also talking about culture, about economics, about politics, about law, about, so in the package of a new technology or a technology is always all these other aspects part of it. So make it a bit more, yeah. So there's no technological fix for things, I think. I found this just last week through an email by Jaromil on the NetTime mailing list. It's not by Jaromil, it's by someone else who makes comics. But I liked it. I mean, the simple answer is that to questions that get asked about every new technology. Will it make us geniuses? No. Will it make us morons? No. Will it destroy whole industries? Yes. Will it make us more empathetic? No, etc., 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 etc. And will it make us more alienated by creating a world of empty experiences? Well, we were already alienated. So, will it bring about world peace? No, of course not. I mean, but it will change things. So then, yeah, I don't think you can see it very well because it's not, or maybe you do because your screen is bigger. This is a quote from the Bruno Latour book, An Inquiry into the Modes of Existence, somewhere from the middle, and which I used in my article for Technomania as kind of just one way of beginning to talk about technology. And he writes somewhere there, like, when we talk about a technological infrastructure, we're always designating a more or less patched together mix of arrangements from more or less everywhere. So technology is a patched together thing. That also means that technology is something which is made. It's being put together at some point, and everything that can be put together can be taken apart. But it's a technological infrastructure, a patched together mix of arrangements that others seek to render irreversible by protecting it from analysis by making it a carefully sealed and concealed black box. So what happens in histories of technologies is that stuff that is actually a patched together mix of arrangements of lots of different things is being put together, and it becomes a black box. We don't know anymore how it is exactly how it's put together, which interests have been come together in there or are coming together in there. It's just something that works with one push on the button, and yeah, and it works. So that gets you into the question, like, how important is it actually to know how technology works? How important is it to be able to open up a black box and looking at our contemporary world and how we use technology, it's pretty clear that we have become part of development where we know less, as normal people, we know less and less and less about the technological arrangements that we are using. We know less and less and less about the computer that we use, about the car that we drive, or the bike that we drive, that we ride, and they're all things that simply work. And I'd say to get to a technological literacy, to mention that aspect which is at the core of this project, it is important, at least to a certain extent, to understand how this black box is put together, to also gain back a sort of agency which goes further than just knowing how to push the right buttons to get at expected result. Okay, it's just that's another thing that could be put into the discussion. Then is this a third or a fourth thing? I don't remember anymore. This is actually something that other people might know more, even here, might know more about than me. But as it is also the theme of the festival, which is taking place next week, I thought to mention it, and I think it is very relevant as well. But it's the idea of a progress trap. And this is an idea of Ronald Wright from a book he wrote, The History of Progress, I think it's called. And he sees all kinds of progress traps happening. And it means a progress trap happens when technological innovations create conditions or problems that society is unable to foresee and or unwilling to solve. So you have innovation upon innovation upon innovation, and that creates a sort of self-organizing machine, you could say, that creates, well, the next instance of the new technology and another new technology, and but actually it's creating more and more problems, and it's, yeah, you couldn't foresee those problems maybe, and also, or one is unwilling or not able anymore to kind of make the decisions to steer it into another direction. And actually a couple of things which were mentioned by in the Guardian article that Mert Akbal chose for this meeting were examples of that. And also, let's see, and then the fourth or fifth thing that I was going to put into the arena, you could say, is the idea of dark ecology, which I'm blending, of course, with the American philosopher or theorist Timothy Morton. And this is a bit from his book, The Ecological Thought. It's being quoted about everywhere. And dark ecology is actually the idea, of course, the idea that this ecology, and ecology means everything is connected to everything else. There's a mesh of things. And counter to the idea of like the older ecological movements, this is not something which is solely very nice and beautiful and would bring us back to a kind of natural state where everything is fine. Actually, ecology is pretty harsh and ugly, and because it means we are connected to all these mines, to all the oil, getting oil out of the Arctic Sea, all of the environmental pollution, and we're not going to get rid of that. And also, and certainly not by going back to some sort of a natural state, because that state doesn't exist. So he writes there, things will get worse before they get better, if at all. We must create framework for coping with the catastrophe that, from the evidence of the hysterical announcements of its imminent arrival, has already occurred. And I mean, those last three words are, of course, the most important there. We're not living in a world, according to Morton and others as well, in which we are facing an imminent collapse. The collapse has already happened, and it's irreversible. So what exactly this means about dealing with it is another issue. But global warming is not going to be turned back, because we can turn back the clock to the Industrial Revolution, for instance. That doesn't mean, by the way, that you shouldn't deal with it and try to make things better. And actually, it's a question if technological fixes are working there. Probably not, or certainly not, I should say. Though people are talking now on things like climate engineering, and I was reading a little bit on that earlier this afternoon, and, where you now have people that say like, well, okay, the risks of climate engineering are very, very big. Well, what we're facing is even worse. So, well, maybe we should try it. And that's kind of an interesting arena. Actually, this picture that you see here is made in Nickel. That's far above the polar circle on the border between Norway and Russia. Of course, this is on, well, of course, as you would probably guess, this is on the Russian side. Nickel is a kind of town that exists because of a big nickel smelter. It's the big factory that you see, and this is like an enormously polluted area where you actually have black snow, and black snow is pretty normal. So sort of if you're there, you're in the middle of kind of dark ecology, because also our Western lifestyle here in the big city can only exist because of those places. And then maybe to finish off, this other quote that I also used in my article, and by Latour again, our sin is not that we have created technologies, but that we fail to love and care for them. So he's asking for, taking care of the technologies that we create, for more and not, getting into a discourse where we should do away with the technologies that we have created. Good. This bit kind of 4 or 5 or 6. What is it? Rambling, a bit rambling references that we could maybe use in the next discussion and get back to. So I hope that that will get us to discuss a couple of things.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, fine. Thank you. Maybe we can continue with Diğdem's presentation directly and then come together at the end.
Yeah.
Great.
So I changed
Great.
to your presentation. Okay.
Please. Oh. Yeah, the name. Oh, I can't see anything. Oh,
Maybe
okay.
I will zoom
Like
out,
this.
maybe so, this way, and maybe
Great.
this is the right size, or is it?
Yeah, kind of right size. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Can you hear me clearly? Okay.
Yes.
I bought this headset Marine he knows too, so I'm not sure if it works well. So the name of my presentation is Play to Save the World. As I said when I am introducing
Sorry,
myself,
you can also let it down. We could to hear you already, but
okay.
yes,
great.
that's fine.
Okay. As I said before, I'm basically working with digital games and interactive storytelling in an academic interest. And when I saw this article Mert sent me, I read this. This is a study funded by NASA, as also Arie said. This is very interesting, very frustrating, and it's very difficult to become optimistic about it. That's for sure. Also, when I saw this and on KumaTalks website, I saw this also in the announcement. It says, while the mass environmental destruction is a phenomenon tightly connected to rapid technological development happening since the dawn of industrial age, optimistic scientists see technology as a cure to stop this destruction. When I saw this, I thought that this could be the greatest debate topic for a high school's debate team. Because in a high school debate, you can discuss this issue with all its aspects, and everyone can share the topic, so you can have a broad view of this discussion in a high school debate, as I said. So I thought that I can do this here very well. Since I'm working basically with digital games, I can just talk about my expertise, my interest, and give you an idea about how I can connect these topics with my working field. You know, yeah, this is the debate slide. So when you are thinking about play and problems, you can't think them in the same side because they are completely different in your mind. When we are thinking about plays, if we are talking about adults, they tend to think that this is a playing is a trivial thing. It's just for fun, for entertainment. But when we are talking about kids, we can see it for educational reasons or socialization, etc. But basically, they don't fit together in our minds. But from another guy from Netherlands, Johan Huizinga, he says, "What's play?" So I would like to um, to think about a little bit of play. Play is a voluntary and superfluous activity, never a task, and play is not real life, and it's played out within certain limits of time and place. So play is a completely voluntary activity. So you don't play for some serious reason, but the outcome of a game is only a matter of interest to those who play it or to its spectators in the playground. So it's just inside of this magical circle. Some other game designers like Kate Sellen and Eric Zimmerman, my favorite game designer scholars, they say play is autotelic, one that is done not with the expectation of some future benefit, but simply because of doing itself is the reward. So just keep these in mind for the rest of my presentation. And due to the strong autotelic components, Play can be posited largely non-utilitarian, and we play for play's own sake, but no other purpose than this. But we invest so much time and so much effort while playing games. Can we use these games for external purposes? Because game budget just doubles Hollywood budget for a couple of years, so it's a huge phenomenon, and we need to think about that. Now I'll take you to the Western Anatolia soil. This guy is Herodotus, and I will read you some little thing from thousands of years ago. In the reign of Attis as king of Lydia, there came to be a severe famine. People can't find food or anything over the whole of his realm. The Lydians, for a time, continued to endure it, but afterwards, as it did not cease, they sought remedies. The major plan against the famine was to play games one day so they might not crave for food, and so the next day they can eat. With the help of games they invented as a strategic plan against that, they survived 18 years, and during this period, they discovered the different ways of playing with the dice, knucklebones, ball, and more. So, this is an example from Jane McGonigal. She's a famous game designer. And she says that games can be a purposeful escape, and playing together as a nearly full-time activity can be adapted to difficult conditions. Games might make life bearable, giving people a feeling of power in powerless situations, reorganizing society in better ways, and to get miraculous things done. So I would like to give you an example designed by a friend of mine. I was a Fulbright alumni, and this is the game of one of my fellow Fulbrighters from Paraguay. This game has nothing to do with technology. It's called Ecological Competition game. It was a part of a social entrepreneurship project, and it won prestigious St. Gallen Wings of Excellence Award of Switzerland. And it was involving some elementary school students in Paraguay's capital city, Asunción, and their school was in Cateura, which is the main rubbish dump of Paraguay's capital. And it's a place the police do not dare to enter at night. Illness and epidemics are widespread due to lack of clean running water. Especially poor waste management in the specific area causes serious environmental and societal problems. Low government enforcement makes it difficult to implement policies, and low public awareness reduces the individual concern. So in this game, my friend, back then a high school student, he made a game between elementary school students, as I said. The simplest game ever. Students will collect recyclable paper, and the ones get together the largest quantity of paper will get presents. So at the end of this game, the students collected near 18 tons of recyclable paper, and the game stimulated an influential environmental awareness in the community, and they sold collected papers to a recycling company, and the profit was used to provide supplies to a school in the disadvantaged neighborhood in Cateura. My friend Carlos, he said in an enrichment seminar, he said he did not realize the full impact of the project till the next year when a couple of kids approached him and asked about what they can do with the stacks of paper they've been storing throughout summer break. So there's something important here. It's that the game ends at the end of the school year, but the change the game causes persists in these students' lives. That's an important point about games. Now, my second example, it has something to do with technology. It's called World Without Oil from 2007. It's a game designed by Ken Eklund, Jane McGonigal, Dee Cook, and Mary Lamb, and others. Actually, it's a game, it's a role-play game, let's say. It's a make-believe scenario telling 32 weeks of a hypothetical global oil shortage and its consequences in economy, climate, life quality, and society in general. So people think that there's a global oil shortage and imagine such a world and document their lives under these conditions. Players contribute with their stories consistent with the official narrative, which is posted daily by the designers. And they make videos and blog posts and images, audio records, emails, podcasts, etc. And play took place not only on computer screen, but in the world, in the streets, in the gardens, in the physical world, actually. And the goal of the game, as set by designers, to harness the collective intelligence of gamers to create a bottom-up map of what it means to live through a massive oil shortage. The buzzword here, collective intelligence was always there during the human history. But in these days, with the digital media, the Web 2.0 technologies, it's now much more powerful than before because it's in new perspectives there. At the end, 1,800 players from 12 different countries recorded their responses to this imaginary global oil shortage. And they staged videos of a hypothetical riot at a grocery store, interviews with panicked people. They also documented the changes they made in their lives, such as starting a community garden, walking or bicycling to work, arranged carpools, etc. And most of them reported that they continued these practices after the game concluded. So the players' early responses were much more focusing on to create a vision of apocalyptic collapse of modern society, but after a while, the players extended their contributions, and in addition to this, they started to offer tips and strategies to survive in this new world. There's a book called News Games, and the writers of this book says players of this game literally alter their world through play, with its ability to make players to compare the reality with an alternative one. The game enables its players questioning and even changing the status quo. And since they played it, they wouldn't have to live it. My second example is another game called Superstruct. It's also a massively multiplayer forecasting game and funded by Institute for the Future. It's an online game. It's a 6-week collaborative experiment to forecast the coming 10 years, launched on September 22, 2008, with a press release dated 2019 from a fictional organization called Global Extinction Awareness System, and played by more than 8,000 people. And playing the game, you chronicle a world, the world of 2019, and imagine how you might solve the problems humanity will face. And this game also played through online forums and blogs, videos, wikis, and other familiar online spaces, and also social media. There were 5 challenges presented at the game. The quarantine, this was covering the global response to declining health and pandemic diseases. And the second one, revenues, focuses on the global collapse of the global food system. The Outlaw Planet focuses on secure global communication. And Generation Exile, it was questioning how we can govern ourselves in an anarchic world. And the last one is the power struggle, of course. There was something called survivability score in the game. It's a number between 0 and 100 and appears in your survival profile. When you first join, you have a score of 0, and any score higher than 0 means you personally are becoming more and more important to the survival of the species. And if you have a score of 100, you personally are absolutely central to the future of the world. And my last example is another game called Evoke. Can I show a little video clip if I can send you the link, maybe? Can we watch it together,
yeah.
or just... Okay.
You can also show it from your desktop, actually.
Really? Okay.
I can...
How can I...
Or give me the link, I can show it from my desktop.
Maybe it would be easier if I don't want to close the window. This one. This is the trailer of this game, to just give you an idea. Actually, this is a game. Let's see it first. It's a very small clip, just one minute or something.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
So I will start it. But I don't think you get the sound.
Oops, there's no sound?
There is no sound. Is it okay? Sound?
No, it's actually it has sounds, but
Okay.
and it's working a little bit.
So, okay. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
the stop sharing.
It's only okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then just share the link with all of you guys in the chat, so you can watch it later if you wish. You know, it's a
Okay,
kind
do
of
you want
cute
to?
trailer. So. I can get back to my presentation.
Okay.
So without sound, not that impressive.
Okay. Just opening again your document. So okay.
It's a game again to empower this another ambitious game to empower young people all over the world, and especially the ones in Africa. And its aim is to start tackling the world's most urgent problems like poverty, hunger, sustainable energy, clean water access, natural disaster preparation, human rights. And it's called a crash course for changing the world. And it's produced by World Bank Institute, and it's a social network game designed to help players launch their own world-changing venture in 10 weeks, playable on computers and also mobile phones, because the internet is not that widespread in Africa, as you can imagine. But it's also open to anyone who has access. So in the world of Evoke, it sets 10 years in the future. The story told in a form of graphic novel, you can see it on trailer too. And it follows the adventures of a secret superhero network based in Africa. And the network is made up of stealth social innovators, a concept the designer team invented for the game. So, and what is the stealth social innovation? In the world of Evoke, social innovators tackle social problems with superheroic secrecy and spectacle in order to capture global imagination so that solutions have a real chance to catch on and spread virally. So Evoke superheroes are particularly known for applying an innovation method referred to as African ingenuity. So what is African ingenuity? For example, a Malawian guy using old bicycle parts and metal pedals. He's making a windmill, or another one, a Kenyan guy making a coffee machine using old mortar shells, that kind of stuff. And the game also has some real-world honors and awards, and players who successfully complete 10 online missions in 10 weeks receive an official certification as World Bank Institute Social Innovator. And top players earn post-game mentorship with experienced social innovators. And they have some travel scholarships to share their vision at the annual Evoke Summit in Washington, D.C. And 19,000 young people from 150 different countries enrolled this game. 25,100 students from sub-Saharan Africa, and this is also the largest collaborative online problem-solving community in Africa to date, involved with this game. And they collectively completed 35,000 missions together, and it's documented on the Evoke network. You can still reach it on the website. And they proposed more than 100 new social ventures in the real world with supportive funding and mentorship from the World Bank Institute. So how reliable is that? Kind of questionable, but still. And what is the power of these games? And these games, through a make-believe scenario, they create a fictional layer on everyday lives and get people to think seriously about future problems and create some kind of awareness, and makes them to create local communities, and it can be called like type of an community activism, and create some real-world behavioral change. And because players act in both real life and virtually, and involve some collaborative puzzle solving, and players use ubiquitous computing, collective intelligence, and distributed cognition. These are all new media literacy skills, and players immersed in a fictional flow, so they don't just have gameplay pleasure, but also a narrative pleasure. They can contribute to this narrative. as a consequence, could I say that technology is cure to all of these, or these games can cure these problems really in real world? I am also, it's really, really difficult to be optimistic about it. Technology makes us imaginative in many ways, and new communication technologies makes us think and act collaboratively, but only the ones having access to these technologies can contribute. So that's just something. The access gap is a real issue in this world. So I don't have a clear answer, but through games, we can make some games to make people more concerned about their future, and they can think about it, and they can act about it. But I don't know the consequence. We can just, think about it for now and work together. If we can find a solution, that would be the great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. So we have actually two very different approaches from your both sides. Now maybe coming to our approaching our problem. So as I can imagine, maybe the games, we can use the games to train or educate the policymakers, for example, because we can also use it to bring it to the public, but most of the people who suffer under the conditions don't have access to the technologies or have time to play games maybe, but the politicians actually have a lot of time, and maybe we can make them game addicts and train them in that way maybe.
Yeah, we can train them, then the project fails at the very beginning. I'm talking for Turkey, of course.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. And Aria's view was, for me, more naturalistic, like this is how the planet is going on, and the ecology is changing, or maybe the structure of the Earth is changing, and
Yeah.
I think it's like kind of I imagine sometimes the towns of from now in 10,000 years or 20,000 or 100,000 years, if everything is mixed again to Earth, and everywhere the rare metals are distributed evenly in Earth, because there are always some parts of old electronics laying everywhere.
Yeah, and then we can use the African ingenuity, which you will definitely need, and kind of make stuff work again. Yeah, well, of course, sort of getting into the subject of games, which was, I think those games are a very good example of how to raise awareness of issues, and that's also why they are being developed. And of course, those kind of things aren't bringing the fixes for or bringing the solutions to all the problems that we are faced with, but they're just one part in well, probably a huge change in awareness of a world and the problems that we are facing, and the sort of yeah, the sort of yeah, the sort of world we're going to. So they're part of the whole story, and I guess they're also a very good medium to sort of imagine future worlds, and also that is, of course, an important yeah, thing in getting an awareness of the world and imagining the world anew, because that's also what we need to be able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also the first list you did, this comic list which you brought at the beginning,
Yeah.
about can it be, and I think definitely the technology improves the games and how we think. Also the
Oh
philosophical
yeah,
things
but
like.
let's say all the things that I've been saying, it doesn't mean that there is no progress, for instance. And certainly new technologies have brought a lot of really good things to the world. And the most simple example is how knowledge is being disseminated over the world. The access that we have to knowledge and the access that we have to the tools to get to new knowledge if we want to educate ourselves if we want to. That's like a huge improvement to 20 years ago, 200 years ago, and certainly to 500, 600, 700 years ago. So it's not to say that there is no technological fix or that technology will not bring a solution to all our problems. Doesn't mean that there has been no progress. It's I think there has been a lot of progress, and also the technologies that we are developing now will bring some good things to the world, but they also have brought us like huge problems. And those huge problems, they're not going to go away by saying like, okay, let's abandon that technology then. That's not how the world functions. It isn't. It will never be that easy. So yes, technology brings progress, and the expansion of our knowledge brings a certain type of progress to the world. It also always means that we are discovering things that we did not know yet, and that there is more that we do not know yet. And new technologies also bring new problems. Yeah.
Yeah. It just reminded me that Dogma movie, somehow it just popped up in my mind. Do you know the Dogma Night 5 cinematic movement? They, led by Lars von Trier, they just rejected the cosmetics of cinema technologies. So they
Yeah.
just rejected the effects and other all kinds of technologies. And they just want a handheld camera and no real actors, no real, no staged settings. So
Yeah.
there's a meaning there. So the thing is to grab the basic meaning. So it was always there throughout history. What you said just reminded me that thing in that special cinematic moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a game. Like these dogma rules are actually a game to play with. That you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make a film
Yeah.
without this and this and this.
There are rules. Yeah, that's a very nice. Yeah, maybe that's why I liked it very much. Yeah, great.
Well, it's also an example of, I mean, it came at a moment when sort of the language of a certain language of Hollywood film was pretty much exhausted and wasn't you weren't able to, or it was very difficult to tell truthful stories in that way. So
Yeah.
then you devise actually new forms because they're new forms. They're not just like doing away with the old forms um, and actually the whole dogma rules are being enabled by new technology, by smaller cameras, handheld
Yeah.
cameras, and so it's not
Yeah,
a
that's also
question
very
of
interesting. Yeah.
abandoning
Yeah.
all the progressive stuff. So I mean, it's in
Exactly.
that sense also an example that um, let's say progress is not also measured, and now we're talking about artistic progress, is not measured solely in terms of, well, the processor is even faster and there's now a higher resolution in image and just the higher, faster, louder. more resolution, etc. I mean, the progression or true progression also for the world can lay exactly in other aspects or in steering the attention to another place. And, so also there sort of that ties into kind of the whole innovation debate where in economic where like you usually have the idea that when politics talks about innovation, it's a very simple idea of what innovation is. It is actually like that from the iPhone 3 you go to the iPhone 4, which is what is it? Faster, more memory, whatever. I don't know what the difference is. But that's not really innovation. It will bring more economic. It will keep the economic motor running maybe, but it's hardly. It's not even technological innovation really.
Maybe it's the right point to jump to the ownership of the technology. Who owns the technology, like Apple, who they can use it in that way with because they have this spectrum of the development of iPhone 5 and iPhone 9 and so on, and
etc.
they can control them through the economy, as you said.
Yeah. Well.
So and also
See, I think it's very important, and people are more and more beginning to realize that it is that an important thing of, let's say, the technological tools that we are using is that we should really have access to them, and that we should be able to change them, create new technologies on top of them, and that you could modify them or actually make them do exactly what you would like them to do, instead of buying into a shiny gadget that does one or two or three things very, very well, but on terms of the commercial organization that made it and that owns basically everything that's inside that little shiny piece of technology, and also gets the ownership of all the data that you are delivering to them through the gadget. So I mean, that's, let's say, the whole what the bigger part of the world has learned through the whole NSA thing, and where there's now a larger awareness of what Google is doing and what it means when you sign yes, I agree to everything that Facebook does with what I do on the website. And yeah, I think that's an important thing, and to gain a real technological literacy is always, I think, a literacy about knowing what you can do with a thing. I mean, years ago, I simply made once in a discussion, it was probably 20 years ago, was about learning Microsoft Word in school, where actually sort of learning Microsoft Word was taking the place of learning to write. We can simply say, like, I'm sorry, but learning to write means learning to put words in order. And Word, the program Word, can be a tool to do that. I mean, just like a pencil is. And again, yeah, that's I think that's sort of the thing that you always have to kind of think about when you're using certain technologies or services or softwares.
Okay. Yeah. Actually,
I could go on about this for a long time. No, please.
Actually, I totally agree what you're saying, because that's my main problem with these devices. Actually, there's only one button here, so you can do some things like taking a short video or putting some pictures on the web, But that's not the real literacy. The real literacy is writing code. So we are not doing it. We are just doing what, there's only one button here. This is idiocracy, basically. So it's something, the literacy is somewhere different. Something we can't see here in the back of this thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whereas,
this black box, what Arie
yeah.
mentioned a bit, this
Yeah.
was the thing.
Yeah, whereas it is often the
um,
case that the same thing can be done very simple with free free softwares, with very, very simple technologies which have existed 20 years, but people simply often they do not even know, but they know they can put up a text and a picture on Facebook and pay with it with their privacy, which is if they think that's a fine economic exchange, okay. But
yeah, so as you say, the technologies are invited or maybe developed, not invited, but developed by the weapon industry. Like, okay, the electricity or most of the things which we use, like the radio or so, they are invited by Nikola Tesla actually, but they are utilized or really used during this in the years before and during the Second World War. Like they came really to be used in industry, and after the World War, they were really set up, and until today, actually, we use inventions of that time in the late 19th century. And well, that was also the question of Jan Smaga, that says that tends to be used first for the weapon industry, maybe because of this economical situation, because it's government funded and standing in the government funding for the first place. So
yeah, I see here that
and also second question was that yes, this same this Philips development people to.
well, there's of course the classical story of or a classical example of why also the best tech in technological terms does not win. This is the story of the three video types that you had in the 1970s, 80s. Betamax,
Cassette wars.
VHS, and Video 2000, where Video 2000 was, I think, Philips, and it was by far technologically the best, but they didn't want to bring out porn on those tapes, so it didn't catch on. VHS, the companies that made VHS tapes didn't have a problem with that, so VHS won in the end. So that's like this story that you read in a lot of books on history of technology as an example of why the best technology does not always win. It's not just technological stuff. It's culture as well, art and
Also I can say something about interactive storytelling. When I was searching with the examples of interactive storytelling, the best example were porn videos, so the interactive porn. So they're really kind of developed in their use of interactive strategies. So yeah, that's a response to Jan.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just tell what I've read. So
okay, maybe we are nearing the end of our discussion. Maybe for the conclusion, I have still the question of how to get rid of stupid prime ministers and stupid politicians. I still couldn't have an. I thought I would get from you guys real
that's
fast
a hard
answer.
story.
But unfortunately, yes.
One of the things you can do is probably one of the only things you can do is just go on doing good things yourself and vote for the right people and write stories that make clear to people why political awareness is important and how politics works. And
So maybe
yeah, that's not being done a lot nowadays, I have the impression.
maybe
Yes.
changing the rules of the game or inventing new rules, maybe it would be a possible solution to.
Yeah, what rules do you want to change? I mean, media rules?
Exactly. That's the first thing that we should
That's
change
yeah.
here, because there's no media has no voice. The free media has no voice.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, the major problem, I think, in Turkey.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Yeah, but that's a problem that
So
exists everywhere, and it's not maybe as bad as it was a couple of years ago. But the kind of way in which some politicians know how to play the media and how this creates a kind of self-organizing thing. Yeah, that's also something that's good to get out of in one way or another. Good journalism is important, yes.
I think because the
Journalism, good education.
yeah,
Yeah.
work
maybe,
everywhere.
Yeah.
maybe as a conclusion you can. What will you say as a conclusion of, just after talking about this to thinking about again the question? How will you conclude briefly the discussion?
Can technology overthrow idiocracy? No, but technology.
Yes.
There is
No.
if we know how to use technology, that gives you a lot of agency in this world, and if you can do your own things with technology, that will give you agency. So I think that would be a good thing.
I think in technology overthrow idiocracy, I think it's a challenge. It's a game challenge. It's a turn-based game. So sometimes we can win, sometimes we can lose. So there will be no epic win for sure. But I'm still optimistic about it.
Yes, there's. I'm also optimistic. I think we should be optimistic, stay optimistic.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe if there are some participants to ask questions, can you invite them? You can just type it, or
Yeah,
we
it's
can
the
also give you
VHS.
some voice to it. If somebody has a question, you can also give some voice to them. I can is typing. If you want, Henrique, I can give you also voice, but however you like, you can also type it. Yes, any optimistic example of influence on political level if it happened yet? I'm just thinking about bicycle, the Daniel Ortega driving to his work with bicycle. That's why.
Actually, I could say,
Yeah, we
for
find that
example,
very normal.
uh, uh, in terms of code literacy, I could say that Barack Obama, he said he actually called all the youngsters in the United States to learn coding. So he said you can make, you just do not just play, make your own games, make your own softwares. So it was a good example and a very optimistic example on the political level, I guess. So in the same days, our minister of, our minister of communications, he said that these stuff are so confusing. No need, not bother to think deeply about that. So, in terms of Turkey, there's, we are very pessimistic about many things because still YouTube is banned in Turkey. So, but Twitter got opened a few weeks ago. So we are struggling very, pessimistic stuff here. But in other countries, good things are happening. We are jealous about some stuff.
But thinking about what Obama said, it's actually kind of if we really think about it in the basement, it's a Marxistic thing, like taking over the production tools, like learning coding. If everybody is able to code, then you have the not the production tools, but the knowledge to use to build production tools. Actually,
yeah, exactly. So they were just despising coding in the very first years of computers. The basically Chinese programmers and Indian programmers, they were writing softwares for the United States. So they just want to take it back to the state soil. So I think.
oh, that's again a power struggle for.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, maybe I hope then it's maybe the changing the like games are for education also good as is a way of learning. Maybe changing the school system to a game-based learning system where we can learn coding and not changing the education system again.
Well, changing education maybe, but not to a gaming environment. Though I mean, gaming is gaining huge in education anyway, and partly that's logical, and partly it's has always been there, and partly it's not good. So,
Yeah. I
but
also
that's a
don't like
whole
the
other discussion. So
yeah, completely. I also don't like the gamification of education that much because education is fun itself. So we don't have to gamify it to enjoy learning some new things.
yeah, no, exactly.
So that's my approach.
But maybe a more reasonable education system. Okay, where games are integrated in a good level.
I understand you totally. Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have other question? Okay, Andra has a question. What is, in your opinion, more necessary for increasing the access to and the openness towards technology?
In what sense?
The openness, I think she's okay. The openness, as like, most of the people are not disencouraged with working like this with the production tools, like learning about electronics or coding, for example, at very basic level.
Yeah, the question is, I mean, um, is this something that should be part of our education, like getting to learn on a deeper level how your software works and how you can actually create your own things with it, opening up
Exactly.
the stuff that you make. I mean, that would be important, but you could also say that what is very important is also the kind of awareness of how technology, which is used now, all the shiny tools that we use, how that's constituted, and also how that's part of a certain economic system that tries to keep its tries to keep its dominant position. with giving us, and with giving us the illusion of the, it's all a service, you know. It's the great piece of, just give over all of your data and it will just like magically work. But it's, for most people, it's not even, or until recently, it wasn't clear what they were giving away in that way, and especially what they are changing in the kind of whole makeup of society and in the whole way we are communicating by using those tools. And that's becoming slowly clear now. And that's, yeah. So that's also
at that point, also from according to Ibrahim's question, the social media, like as you are saying,
yeah,
social media is changing, and it's like the communication system we are using is also changing the society itself.
Yeah, I mean that's
like the language form.
It's
the culture.
Yeah. No, but that's what is constantly happening, of course, and especially, I mean, that's one of the things which I could think of in terms of technomania. When Facebook arrives, a lot of people, or Facebook catches on, I should say, a lot of people began to use it, and I always have the impression that a lot of people that began using it were people who had not used network tools before. So there's kind of this enthusiasm then. So you kind of tend to forget about all the other things that it is changing. And then once you're in the middle of it and it is changed, you can't go back anymore. So a sort of awareness of why am I using this tool? Why should I go and do that? And a sort of reflection also on how you use not only social media, but any of the tools that you're using is, I think, that's very important as well. It's very, but it changes how you are in social life. It's not going to go away.
It's created great movements in Egypt and Turkey during the Gezi protests. We worked social media a lot. But I think that we are in a, as you said, in the middle of something. I have really big difficulty to make a meaningful analysis about how
Yes. Also, I think it's also changed the social media, at least Facebook, as I was seeing. I don't get not all the posts. It's filtered very strange way because they got some some bans in some countries and some really hard, maybe also economical threats, they have to change it. We don't know. Yes.
I think there's also, yeah, but I think also like in Turkey, social media are maybe mostly received in a very positive way, whereas I think in the Netherlands, though we use it more, there's much more of a negative feel towards social media and its effects on social life. And I think here it is much more of, though it has changed a lot of things and there's a lot of nice uses of it, but a lot is also just marketing. And it's part of, if you do an event, you have to do your marketing through Facebook and Twitter and etc., etc., etc. And everybody is doing that. So a lot of what is being played out there is just that. And I don't see there's niches that have meaningful interactions. But of course, I mean, as most of life is meaningless exchanges, most of Facebook and Twitter is meaningless exchanges. And the problems, yeah, no, and a kind of narcissism, yeah.
The mainstream media is under influence of the censorship. It's censored a lot. So the social media is an alternative medium for expressing some things.
Yeah.
Like some audio recordings were shared through social media. We never saw them on TV. We never heard them about on TV. They just mentioned there's such some stuff, and they just mentioned about it. I didn't see any serious TV program, talk show, or anything about these issues, these corruption cases. What people talk these issues only on social media. So that's why maybe in Turkey, social media had some positive perception.
Yes, because it is
Yeah,
the only media.
The wrong one to react on that, because I haven't seen television in a long time. So
that's another issue.
Okay, so one last question.
yeah,
From the
no, but it is. I mean, that's.
Side, then we can
Well, as Haraway said, we are in 1985. We are cyborgs. So.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah. Mm.
So cool.
They bought it. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't mention Haraway for nothing. I mean, she already referenced this like a long time ago, that you are a kind of cyborg when you're using technology. So when you're driving a car, the car has become an extension of your body. When you're riding a bike, certainly the bike is an extension of your body. So in that sense, you are a cyborg, and in that sense, it's not this enormous jump to these kind of Hollywood fictions of totally intimate technologies that come under your body and in your body and with the plugs to your brain. That's not the big that's not the big jump. We have already and well, that's another thing. We have already incorporated a lot of technologies. So yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.